It was a chaotic scene in Paris today as a gunman opened fire on police at one of the city's most popular tourist attractions. The attack coming just days ahead of the heated French presidential election. Now, many are wondering if reaction to today's violence could propel a far-right candidate who's been called France's Donald Trump to victory. ABC's chief foreign correspondent Terry Moran takes us on a road trip through a changing Europe.
One of the most beautiful streets in the world, the iconic Champs-Élysées, on lockdown tonight. A gunman armed with a military-style weapon opening fire. One police officer killed, 2 others wounded. This man says he saw it all. Within 2 hours came that claim, that boast of responsibility by ISIS. All this just 3 days before France goes to the polls in the first round of a bitterly contested presidential election.
Nous sommes tout d'abord sous la menace d'une dilution de notre identité nationale.
A leading contender in the presidential race, Marine Le Pen. She's the candidate everybody's watching, a far-right nationalist with an incendiary anti-immigration argument. This is our home, a rallying cry reminiscent of a familiar refrain.
And America first.
The U.S. president today sending his condolences.
It's a very, very terrible thing that's going on in the world today.
For France, for all of Europe, this is a moment of truth. So last month, we went on a road trip across these political battlegrounds where the continent's future will be decided. The big question, has the election of Donald Trump in America and the grim uncertainties of this age of terror emboldened the populist movement around the world? And could the ripple effect mean the end of Europe as we know it?
Morning.
First stop, Paris, the city of lights, now also known for the ever-present reality of terror.
We're going to the headquarters of the National Front. We're going to go and talk to some of the younger members. So this is where it all happens, right? Why? Why sign up with Madame Le Pen?
She's saying, like Trump did in the US, make France great again. She has a strong, really strong message, and she brings hope. She gets France more jobs, less immigration.
Parce que oui, en France, nous avons 9 millions de pauvres, nous avons 6 millions de chômeurs, et nous ne pouvons plus accueillir de migrants.
Sounds familiar, right? But in Europe, that human tide of refugees from the Middle East has made the immigration issue even more intense. Le Pen suggests immigration like this is dangerous, reminding voters of the constant threat of attacks, like the massacre in Paris almost 2 years ago now.
We're in a special place. This bar, it's called La Belle Équipe. That means the good team. And the last time I was here, this was all shuttered. This is where one of the attacks on the horrible night of November of 2015 happened.
20 persons died here. 10 was in my life. The mother of my daughter, firstly.
Gregory Reibenberg was behind the bar here when the terrorists opened fire. He cradled his former wife in his arms as she died. But even after experiencing the unimaginable, he is not a supporter of Le Pen, who he sees as a fearmonger.
I cannot imagine the horror that happened here that night. And for many men, it would have made them angry.
You can do nothing with anger, nothing. La France qui se divise en deux, mais le monde est comme ça. Il y a une partie du monde qui a peur de la mondialisation, qui ne sait pas comment l'aborder, et une autre qui l'aborde de façon plus optimiste.
That sounds familiar too. Just like in America, Europeans are in a fierce debate about globalization. And like Donald Trump, Marine Le Pen is an economic nationalist. So we traveled 2 hours south to Châteauroux, the heart of France, to see if she can persuade the people here to vote for her.
J'espère vraiment que ce sera elle notre présidente pour faire le changement en France.
Le Pen's campaign is both slick and emotional, packaged populist anger.
Je veux remettre la France en ordre.
Marine Le Pen tells a story about how these people here have been ignored by the establishment and that now, through her, they can take their country back.
La France continue de s'épuiser à accueillir une immigration jamais contrôlée.
This feels like a lot of the Donald Trump rallies that I covered. It's more than just a political campaign. It's bigger than that.
And we even saw the parallels to the Trump campaign in the crowd itself. Look at this guy with the iconic Trump campaign cap.
Ce sont deux candidats qui défendent leur pays.
Bonjour. Backstage, we were granted a few moments with Le Pen herself. She's brusque, all business.
We've seen Brexit in Britain, President Trump in America, and maybe Le Pen in France. How would you describe this political moment?
C'est un mouvement mondial. En réalité, c'est
It's a global movement. In reality, it's a rejection of savage globalization, of free trade that's been imposed for decades, that benefited very few.
If you're elected, does that mean the end of the European Union?
L'Union européenne.
EU is a political structure that I find deeply harmful. I think it should cede its place to the nations and to the corporations.
But a big reason Le Pen is popular and feared is her railing against what she sees as Islamic fundamentalism and against Muslim women wearing head coverings or veils. She wants to ban the so-called burkini on French beaches.
In reality, the burkini is a representation of radical Islam. Women don't want to put on this kind of swimsuit. It's the uniform of radical Islamists, and radical Islamists will absolutely not have a voice in my country.
Il n'est pas question que les fondamentalistes islamistes prennent les moindres positions dans mon pays.
Everywhere we traveled, from France to the Netherlands, where an election was held last month, we heard the same debate about nationalism and diversity.
This is a city that made its wealth, and you can see it here, by being open to the world. It's a merchant city, and the question in this election, has there been too much diversity?
Oh, absolutely right. We need politicians who are not removed from the population. We want real people, not this socialist rhetoric and we're sick of it.
In the Netherlands, this guy, Geert Wilders, often called the Dutch Donald Trump, but voters didn't buy it. He finished a distant second. We had a moment with him while he was still in the throes of his campaign.
You called for the banning of the Quran, closing of mosques. What do you say to people who call that hate speech?
I'm not in the habit of banning books, but this is a book that is more anti-Semitic and more dangerous than Mein Kampf.
Even
so
though
yes,
it's the holy book of 1 billion and more people in the world.
It's a book full of hatred of a totalitarian ideology that does not want to assimilate.
Millions of voters across Europe are rallying to that kind of message. Others hear only hatred in it. The next test, France and Marine Le Pen. With blood on the streets of Paris tonight, her moment may be at hand. For Nightline, I'm Terry Moran in Paris.